Welcome to Corner Class Tampa. This is episode 31, and today we are celebrating part two of our first year anniversary. So we're going to bring on guests, friends of the show, and we're going to talk about what we did to survive and even thrive during the COVID era. So if you're interested in pivoting, if you're interested in finding out best practices during COVID and how you can make major money right now in today's market, stay tuned. All right, and we're back. And we have Rick. Rick is with Temple View Capital. Rick, go ahead and do a quick introduction so we may have some new viewers, and then we're going to get right into what your company is doing to thrive right now in today's market. Go ahead.
Yes. I'm Rick Sanchez. I'm with Temple View Capital. We are a hard money lender. We specialize in like fix and flip rehab loans. We do long-term rental financing for those looking to do, like long-term investment properties, as well as we actually have new products available, which I can go over later. But we've been around for probably over 5 years. I've been with this company for 3 years and been thriving ever since. Everything's been moving up. So look forward to talking more about it.
Yeah, actually, Rick, I want to go into it a little bit about your new products because I think those new products a result of COVID, or did you just bring them back on?
So they're just brand new in general. The two products that we just came out with recently was ground up construction. We found that that was just something that a lot of people were just asking for constantly, and we now have that up and running. And then the one other popular item, since we were doing a lot of long-term rental financing, most people were getting properties that were Airbnb. So now we came out with a product that was specifically for short-term rentals, which is the Airbnb market, to try to capitalize on that. That one's been bumping now ever since, been thriving. So that's definitely a product that a lot of people are asking for.
So tell us a little bit about the qualifications, because I'm receiving a lot of also inquiries about short-term rentals, Airbnb, more so than new construction. So tell me a little bit about the qualifications for each of the two programs.
Yes. So basically, the popular one, the Airbnb one, it's similar to our long-term product. The only difference is that we basically go off of like the annual ledger of what that property makes in a year, whereas usually a regular long-term rental finance property, we usually have to go off like what the market rent is and go, or if the property's leased, we would go off of that to make sure it's enough to cover the monthly payment. But with these Airbnb properties, they're collecting so much money at like different parts of the year that they end up having an annual amount that just far exceeds what a regular lease would be, which is why they're so attractive to everybody. And so as far as like qualifying for like rate wise goes, it's still same thing. We ask for, your credit's kind of the main driver there. Experience, we ask you at least have like one rental that you've owned for at least 2 years. It doesn't disqualify you if you don't. It's just it's like a 5% hit on the LTV. And then pretty much the same documents that we would ask for with our long-term rental financing. For those who don't know, we require that you close as an entity. So we ask for your entity documents. If it's a purchase, we ask for the purchase contract. And that's generally about it. If it's a refi and you have at least, if you have Airbnb set up already, and you're trying to do like a refinance to like pay off your other lender that you bought the property with, we do the rate and term for that. We usually use a software, I think some people are familiar with it, that do Airbnb. It's called AirDNA, and it basically just gives you the annual summary of what to expect from a property in that area based off of other Airbnbs reporting in that area. And what we do is we take that, we basically divide that by we take 70% of that annual amount, and then we divide that by 12, and that gives us what our annual or what our monthly, amount would be expected in a worst case scenario, which is what we use for our numbers' sake to, basically finalize the loan. But everything else is pretty much exactly similar to our long-term product. And now in regards to the ground up construction, that's also similar to our rehab side. The only difference is with our rehab, we do advanced draws. With ground up, it's reimbursement. So that basically you have to come out of pocket to do the work, but then you get reimbursed for that, which is pretty the standard, I think, in that industry as far as ground up is concerned. But what makes us a little unique to that is that we go up to a higher loan to cost, up to 90% on our ground ups, which is kind of mostly important for those deals, because a lot of times people are buying lots that are like low end value, like in value compared to like buying a house. So you're generally going to have like a lot that's going to be anywhere. I know some people buy like 20K lots, 50K lots. And then they're doing like a 200K or 300K budget to build a whole new house. So LTV, while we do go up to 65% with our ground up, is nice. Most people run into issues with other lenders where they're loan to cost, meaning that the lenders want to have you have a certain amount of skin in the game. So if we're financing too much of the total cost of the loan, they're going to cap you, and that's going to increase your cash to close. So our cap is 90%, meaning that you have to bring 10% of the total cost of the loan. That way you show you have enough skin in the game. But again, that's usually the max. I don't think there's going to be many lenders that's going to go higher than 90% in the industry for that. So it is an appealing product. It is new. It is starting to boom in certain spots. But yes, the Airbnb is the one that we get questions about a lot. And more than happy to answer any, if anyone's got any actual, case by case scenario they want to go over, feel free to message me. I'll put my email in the comments.
Okay, so I just want to make sure with respect to the Airbnb product, it can be a new, product that a new property that you're buying.
Mhm.
So you don't have to have ownership of it already, and you're using this the software to determine what it could rent for, to determine if it's a viable
Cor-
deal. Correct?
Correct. Which, and I guess the majority of the people in this classroom in the Tampa area in Florida, that should be fine. I don't think you're going to have much issues with finding a good
No, the
value
rental.
on Airbnb properties. So it's probably
Right.
really well there.
Okay. Second thing is for the new construction, do you have to own a lot already?
No, we can do purchase. So the difference with that is if you own the lot already, we're going to ask you for basically a copy of the stamp plans by the city as well as the permit. If you don't have it and you're doing a purchase, we don't expect you to have that because you're obviously don't own the land. But sometimes some sellers, they sell those where they offer like, hey, I've got these approved plans by the city. I'm selling this lot with that. In that case, we still do 65%. However, if you don't have the plans and permit, which we would not expect you to have on a purchase, the LTV drops to 50% of the land value that we'll finance on the purchase. We'll still do 100% of the construction budget, and we'll still have the whole. We still also finance our payments into the loan, so that way you don't have to make a physical payment during the process. But the LTV is just slightly different on a purchase.
Okay. So I want to make sure I understand. I'm an investor, and we are just entering into or I'm looking at the new constructions in the area. It's booming. We find a piece of land that, let's say, is $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
And we think that, we can build a home and sell that home for $340,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say, for easy math, that the cost of the home to build is $200,000. So we got $240,000 in to purchase the land and build a home, and then we can sell it for $340,000, just to make the math fairly easy.
Yeah.
We would have to bring 10% of the 240 into as skin in the game, or what would we an investor need to bring to the deal?
So again, the calculations on loan to cost a little more complicated because it involves actual every cost involved in it, insurance, the title fees. So again, it'd be kind of case by case when I put together a term sheet for you. But honestly, based off those numbers, I don't think we'll have an LTC issue on that. It would mostly probably be you'd have to bring 50% of that 40 if you're purchasing it. So that'd be 20K plus the closing costs, and then we're going to finance that remaining budget in there. If there's any reason where it would go over that loan to cost cap, then like I said, I would make an adjustment, but I would explain that to you. But I really won't know until I have all the final costs of the loan. Only thing we can go off is kind of estimated on that. But based off your numbers you gave me, I should be able to fit that.
Okay. And I would need to bring 20,000 for the purchase of the land, plus the construction side, another 20,000. So I'm looking at 40,000 skin in the game, somewhere around there about, right?
Well, yeah, you would bring 20,000, which would be 50%, and then you're bringing closing costs involved. So whatever title company you use, and then plus, if we're able to fit all the payments in, that shouldn't be an issue. But that would be your closing cost right there. And then since it's a reimbursement, you have to be able to make sure you have money to start the project yourself to actually, get that work done. Most of the time, this is the type of product where someone who's doing this is not going to be a beginner. Honestly, we kind of don't want beginners for ground up. We want someone that's done at least some major rehab before they start doing this, unless they've done some under their belt. So that's why it's going to be a little. Obviously, they have their own capital to do that, and they've got some more experience as far as what they're doing to do this. So while we always encourage new investors to keep doing something like this. At some point, we usually kind of want you to start off with a rehab project if you're doing your first deal, as opposed to doing straight ground up until you at least show that you got one under your belt.
Right. Awesome. So, Rick, we're having a little bit of a sound problem on. I'm not sure if it's my end or your end. So, I'm going to circle back around, and if we have any questions about that particular product, we'll have you answer those. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rick. So as always, we have a friend of the show, Gilbert Bennett. Gilbert, welcome to the show.
Had my mic muted there. Glad
Gilbert,
to be here with you and Rick today.
Unmute yourself.
Did it come off? All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. One second, Gilbert.
All right. Am I coming through clear?
Gilbert, one second. I'm going to re-add you to the stream here.
Okay. Am I coming through clear now?
Yes, you are, Gilbert. Go ahead.
Good deal. Well, glad to be here with you and Rick today. I heard you guys when I came on talking a little bit about vacation rental options through Templeview, and it's always a good option. Templeview provides a lot of flexibility with their lending, with their guidelines, and a great option. One thing I did want to present or mention to you related to the vacation rental is if you intend to occupy that property regularly or visit a vacation rental, let's say you live in Georgia and you want to buy something on the beach in Florida, you may have an opportunity to purchase that as a second home. If your intent is to regularly occupy it, schedule a family vacation down at the beach a couple times a year, something like that, that meets the criteria for second home, as long as you retain control of the property while you are using it as a vacation rental, meaning you don't hand it off as the sole and change and you. I have one myself. I use Airbnb, and I control who checks in and checks out, and that meets our second home requirements there. So, you can get in the lower interest rate, lower down payments if you can qualify to buy a vacation rental home as a second home versus you won't be able to use that projected rental income to qualify with just your own income. So want to talk to you about that real quick. And as always, I'd love to give a rate update and kind of a market update. Right now, we're seeing a little bit of stability in mortgage rates. The Fed hasn't made any big moves with some of the latest employment data. They haven't made any big promises or accelerated any time frame on increasing some of the latest employment data. They haven't made any on increasing.
So,
I'm getting a little bit of
Gilbert, yeah, you're coming in real choppy. Let's do this. I know that you're driving. When you are stable, we'll come back to you. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you're coming in choppy on our end. I'm going to add Rolanda destination. Okay. All right, so Gilbert is just a little coming in a little choppy, and so we're gonna come back around to him. But right now, we have Rolanda that's going to be coming on, and I have to say that she is a new friend to the show, and full transparency. I brought her on to talk about how to save money, how to as a company, as an investor, and then how a person could basically use their services to take the advantage of the tax system. And I was so impressed with her that I decided to do some business with her. So Rolanda is going to be coming in and working with my companies, Community Enterprises. As you know, I have a suite of companies all in the kind of the real estate space and legal. I'm above board and I'm saving as much money in my real estate space with across all of my businesses as possible. So Rolanda, we're going to add her to the show. I want you to talk a little bit about, what you've done to pivot during COVID. Has there been any changes in your business model? And then a little bit about, as a investor, what you can do um, to help them save money. And then a third point is how you can help me save money. It's all yours.
Good morning, David. Thank you for allowing me to come in and have a conversation with you today and your community. I appreciate it. So as far as my business, I have a full service CPA firm here in Tampa, Florida. But even pre-COVID, I was working virtually with business owners all over the U.S. And so I have I use technology, or had been using technology, in order to go ahead and fulfill those services to business owners all across the U.S. So as with COVID, nothing really changed with my business, so to speak. I think what has happened is that business owners are now more comfortable doing services virtually with someone without having to necessarily go into the office, because the fact that we do provide secure services in order. Hello, can you? Oh, I'm sorry. We provide secure technology in order to fulfill them in providing services to them across the US. So that has not been an issue for us, so to speak.
So really, your client base is basically getting up to speed on the tools that you've been using all along.
Yes. A lot of people have been hesitant in the past using technology just because of trust issues, but being forced, I suppose, into an issue made it a little bit more comfortable for some people to be able to walk into that arena.
So you was ahead of the curve from the very beginning.
Well, I like to be. I love the use of technology, and I think, well, I have always. So I have in addition to be a CPA, I have a master's in accounting and finance, but I also have an MBA with a concentration of computer resources and information management. So I've always had a strong desire for that technology side of things, even though I do use the analytical side for the numbers.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Awesome. Now you go ahead and plug, you have an event coming up here in a couple of days, isn't it?
Yeah, so next week I will be speaking at the conference Blacks and Nonprofits down in Dallas, Texas. So excited to be a part of that event. Les Brown will be also speaking on that event as well. But yes, I will be speaking to nonprofits on how to better serve their community in the form of their accounting and taxes. And in addition to that, I'll go ahead and plug, I just released a book called Creating a Successful Nonprofit by Understanding Your Numbers. And so that's kind of a tag along to working with that organization as well.
Also, I saw from your feed that it's the #1 bestseller on Amazon, correct?
So it wasn't quite a #1 bestseller, but it was the #1 new release for several weeks. So I am happy about that. I did not quite make the #1 seller list, but I am proud that I was a new release on that new release for several weeks.
Wow,
So
the #1
yes,
new release for several weeks.
Yes.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive. So Rick, we we have to step our game up, man. Writing books and masters and facilitating and all this stuff, huh?
Gonna have to make a movie.
I don't know about that, Rick.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something, So, Rick, we've always talked about using other people's money, and you are other people's money. We've actually used your financing for a couple of deals now. We've actually closed on one of those deals, and this is all in the last year, really the last few months. Of you being introduced to the show, us getting to know each other, and we've used your money for, like I said, a couple of deals here, and it's been pretty lucrative. And the process was super easy.
Thank you.
So I want to, I want to thank you for that. You helped the bank account a little bit. I was able to afford people like Rolanda to come on and help me save more money. And so that is how we actually pivoted in COVID. What we've done is that each business is a little bit different. And so Rolanda was already using technology to help her communicate with her clients. It saves on airfare and it saves on those expensive dinners. So you don't have to go to, Ocean Prime. You don't have to go to, ADVs or anything like that. You can actually communicate via Skype and via Zoom and other technologies to save that cost. And your CPA would love that. And then, you can use Rick's money to actually bring on close a deal and make some money of it. So you have to bring some skin in the game. And the rates were fair. The terms were great. We use there's like a little automated. In fact, Rick, shared the back end of what, after you've gotten a loan, share the back end of how you guys administer the loan, the draws, and that type of thing, because that's important to your cash flow.
Yes. So we use a software. It's a platform called Land Gorilla. Right after you close with us, you get an email from that department once the loan boards with them. And it basically just gives you login information to access Land Gorilla. And what that site allows you to do is sees your whole draw schedule. And it basically gives you access to whenever you're ready to get an inspection done, saying, hey, I did such and such work. You basically would just click on those items and then request that inspection. And with that, you kind of have two options, which, the old school option is we get an inspector out there to like schedule with you and take pictures of it. But we're actually trying to be a little more advanced on that, where we actually have you download an app called TruePic, which is basically just something where you take pictures yourself and then it gets sent to us. That way, if you're saying, for instance, hey, I did the kitchen, I did the cabinets, did all the appliances, all right, cool, here, download the app. And, basically you take the pictures of that, get sent to us. And then once we verify that that's done, we then immediately start the wire to send you the money for that draw. So it's a lot simpler there. It's faster. And it's very easy to use. I've heard nothing but positive reviews on our back end now. We have a great staff there. It's not just like one guy running it. He's got a whole team of people. So if you ever have any issues, or even if you have any questions where, let's say for instance, you maybe did like half the work on something because you're focused on getting something else done. Our manager, Eugene's been really excellent on working with people on getting things done in a timely manner, or working with them, working out, deals with them and saying like, all right, we can, as long as you get this done, show me you got this done, I'll release this draw for you, kind of thing. He's not like a lot of other lenders can be a lot sticklers about it. I know I've heard some horror stories with other lenders where, some guy will say they did such and such work, but then when they go out to do an inspection, if they're missing one thing or didn't see something clear on it, they all of a sudden be difficult and they won't release that draw. And it just become, just be a real nightmare when you're using your own money on that. But with us, like I said, we try to keep it as simple as possible. The main thing is he just wants to kind of have you off his desk. So he wants to get your project done as soon as possible. So he's willing to help you out on that, should you ever have any issues. But for the most part, most people are able to easily, use our platform. It's been very helpful. It's definitely, honestly, a good selling point that we use because I know a lot of people that have left other lenders because of that reason. They don't mind paying, 0.5% more or something just because they don't want to deal with the issues that, some lenders have out there. But it's definitely something I push for. It used to be, when we started, was one of our worst departments ever. I'm not going to lie. And they just revamped it. It's honestly probably one of our strongest suits is definitely the back end. It's really simple to use. And then that's just with our rehab. With our payments, you really don't have to worry about that for the most part because those are financed. So those are just being pulled out of an escrow each passing month. And then that basically, if you end up finishing the project sooner than the short-term loan, we just credit that back on the payoff. But should you have any issues with servicing, we have our own servicing department that can also answer any questions, and they're pretty quick at getting back to you if you have anything.
Yeah, and I can actually attest to that, Rick. I sent in photos, and I used that TruePic to send in photos and a video. There was a couple of questions, and then that day, around 3:00, I had the money. So I appreciate that, getting the money.
Yeah,
now,
definitely.
Rolanda, how can we made some money? What are some of the things that we can do to keep that money? And any best practices that you can share for investors?
Well, for sure, the interest that you'll be paying Rick on that loan that you had to take out to secure this property is tax deductible. So it's important that you keep track of that interest, as for one. And then two, you had mentioned before about taking your clients out for dinner. Well, I do want to mention, if you do have to take your clients out for dinner for 2021 and 2022, I know why you're laughing. Inviting your clients out to a meal, it's actually 100% tax deductible. So I just want you to know that. So in previous years, it's been 50% only, and that has only been your client's portion. But now it's 100% tax deductible as long as you go to a restaurant. So I just wanted to add that in there. Inside joke. But that is a true statement. But it's also important that while you're working on these projects, that you're keeping track of any expenses that you're incurring. Speaking specifically of mileage, because I know a lot of times business owners will miss out on that mileage that they're spending going back and forth to the projects, or whatever that looks like, meetings regarding the project. So you want to definitely make sure that you're keeping track of that mileage, because that can be a lot of money that's lost thousands of dollars that's lost at the end of the year just because you're not keeping track of it. So it's important that you do that, as well as other expenses that you're incurring with the project. Specifically speaking, so when we're talking about selling, investing for the sake of selling, we also want to make sure that we're keeping um, we're keeping in consideration 1031 exchanges to make sure that we're saving on that capital gain tax and we're not paying more in taxes for properties that we're selling, and we're moving that money from one property to the next. So that's a really important savings where a lot of investors miss out on as well. They're so fast in trying to get to the next deal that they don't necessarily properly secure the funds from one deal to the next by doing that as well. So those are some big things that I would say. I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to mention that the with respect to 1031 exchanges, the capital gains tax, that's memory serve what 250 and 500 500 per couple, 250 individual. Is that correct?
So that is if that's your primary home, or if you've lived in that home the last 2 years out of the last 5 years. So yes, it is a $250 tax credit that's allowed, and $500,000 if you are married. Yes, you are correct with that.
Okay, but as an investor, you haven't lived in that property for the 2 years. So how does that work?
So, and that's why it's important that I was talking about that 1031 exchange, that you're putting that money aside. So that way, what happens with the 1031 exchange, as long as you're buying another property that's of that value, or and of similar property types, I should not similar property types, but investment types, I should say, that money, you don't pay capital gain tax on that money until it's fully distributed. So you can move it from one property to the next without having to pay capital gain taxes on that money.
So that's important because you want to keep as much of your money as possible.
Yes.
So,
especially if you're investing, because it allows you to continue to invest more money going on. Yes.
And as you get larger and larger, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything.
So as you get larger and larger projects, that becomes a real issue because we're using Rick's money. We're looking at larger and larger deals. We're trying to keep as much money as we have, but then also we want to grow our portfolio. And having someone like you to be fully transparent, that's why I brought you on board, so that you could you are the expert. You are bringing to the Carmena Enterprises expertise that I don't have. I'm not a CPA, and so while I may know a little bit from being around in the industry, by no means do I consider myself an expert. And you want to bring someone on your team that can help you keep as much money as possible legally. And you also want to have a partner on your team that has plenty of money. Rick, how many millions and billions of dollars you guys have? You have plenty of money, that you can lend a brother, right?
Yeah, we're good. No issue on our end.
I'm not going to drain all your funds. Is basically what you're saying. I'm okay.
I can't give you enough loans. Basically, however loans you want, I'll give you as many as you want. So.
And so as investors, we're joking, but it is so true. Partnering up with the right people on your team. It's not just your construction. It's not just your crew. It's not just your general contractor. It's also all of the skill sets that you need to be successful in your field, in your career. You got to have the right person that looks at your books and make sure that other people are not taking advantage of you, and you are using the tax code as much as possible. And it helps to have someone who has an MBA, who is a world-renowned author, and that will not take you and ask you to spend hundreds of dollars on meals and stuff like that will use technology to meet. And then you want to have a partner that says, hey, listen, David, how much money do you need? Because hey, that's a good thing. So having those members on your team is so important, because once you find an opportunity, you got to be able to service that opportunity. You got to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. And if you don't have the right partners, you're not able to do that. So any last comments about, again, any pivoting that you had to do, or any changes in your business practices as a result of the last year and a half, 2 years where we've lived in the COVID era? All right, so there's none. So that's
Yeah, we on our end, we honestly, what kind of kept us alive during COVID was actually the fact that we financed our payments into the loan, because when COVID started, a lot of our loans were, in that situation where, the renters weren't paying, or just, flat out they couldn't make their payments because, hey, I got to use this money to do my project, and things are tight on my end. Like, don't worry about it, because again, your payments are covered for that whole year. So that was like one of the things that we're glad that we started that, and we've been keeping that since. And I would say everything else is honestly, we tightened up a bit like anyone else, but we never stopped. And if anything, we just try to be more flexible on, like, all right, well, what are people doing now? And that's kind of where the Airbnb thing kind of came out, where like everyone's that's where they're heading towards. So that's where we kind of adjust. And we're always doing that. Like 3 or 4 years ago, we were just doing rehab loans. And then now we're doing long-term rental. Now we're doing ground up. Now we're doing Airbnb. The next discussions, we have other products that we're always discussing. We have other things around the corner that are definitely going to come out. And that's just what we're trying to do. You got to be flexible, be innovative, see what the people want, and then, work towards that. So that way we can, keep staying as one of the top lenders in that space.
And not only that, your customer service is great, Rick. And so
Thank you.
I will continue to do business with you guys. Me and my partners, we've had a really good experience, and we look to continue to partner with you. In fact, we talked just this morning. There's two more opportunities that we're looking at, and we're going to be probably moving on that. So again, I know this is not this show. We're not plugging any particular person. We're plugging the need for that particular area in your business, but if I've seen a vendor, and if I've seen a partner, and that partner is part of my business plan, I want to share that with anyone that is looking for that particular partner to be possibly partners of their business plan. And Rolanda, I again, you're going to be new. I think we're meeting next month to formalize some stuff, and we're going to meet over a Zoom session. And we're gonna, guys, this is an inside joke. I shouldn't. We're laughing because it's kind of an inside joke, but we will be using her services hopefully, and to make sure that we're taking advantage of everything. So again, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show, spending a few minutes to discuss, how you have your companies have thrived in COVID, and then also. When there is, there's an old saying, when there's blood in the streets, buy real estate. There's a stabilization factor when you have a lot of turmoil that real estate provides. It is not an asset where you can easily liquidate, but it provides a hedge against inflation. It provides, additional income, and multiple streams of income, that type of thing. So having these partners in place are pretty important. So Rick, thank you for coming on. And then Rolanda, thank you for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Now, we talked about business partners. We talked about using other people's money. We talked about keeping your money. If you get stuck in a deal and you need help, the next video is going to be a number that you can call. We can help. We have expertise. We've actually been doing business during the COVID time. We've made 6 figures in the multiple investments that we've been doing. Next show, we're going to talk about that. We're going to break down exactly what we did, how much money we made, how we used Rick, how we partnered, and how during COVID in the last couple of months, we had a 6-figure income. So if you're interested in finding out how to make money now in today's market, stick around for the next show. And if you need to partner, here's the number. We'll see you on the other side.